What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. This is the post AEW Double or Nothing show. We got plenty to talk about. Reminder, if you haven't subscribed to youtube.com/Fightful, go ahead and do that. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe. We got tons of content there and no time to plug it. But remember, if you want your question or statement read on the air, donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. And we've got plenty of shows for you, including one featuring this guy, Jeremy Lambert. He does The Distraction. He reviews movies on Tuesdays, books a territory into oblivion on Saturdays, and talks news on Thursday. How you doing, Jeremy?
I am doing well. Yeah, one show. We do 3 shows a week, Sean.
Yeah,
3 shows.
It's one show, but it's 3 episodes. And we are joined by Phil Lindsey. Phil, I'm very excited to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we're going to talk AEW. And, of course, if you want to follow Phil, his handle's right there. Check him out on Bell to Bells. Check Jeremy out at your local dentist. Check him out at Jeremy Lambert 88. But let's roll right into AEW Double or Nothing because I am going to try to get on the scrum right after this. But the top contender match kicked off this show. Best Friends defeated Private Party. Private Party are really starting to come into their own. You can tell that like they've had a little bit of rust on them because they haven't been in the ring a ton lately. But I felt it was pretty clear that Best Friends were going to win this. But what did you think of this one, Phil?
I thought it was a good match. It was a little sloppy at some points. But I thought it was a good match for a kickoff match.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I love Private Party hitting the Crime Time finish, the G9. That was a great touch. Jeremy, was there anything more you were expecting out of this that maybe you didn't get? The only spot that I looked at and I was like, oh, I don't like that, is I think when Mark got pile drived on the floor and then he's up in 20 seconds. I was like, ah.
Yeah, that, and there was some sloppiness with like the whole let me toss your leg into your partner type deal. And but otherwise, I'm glad Best Friends won. They've been pushing them hard on television over the past couple of weeks, so it wouldn't have made a ton of sense to have them lose to Private Party here. So a good win by Best Friends, setting up Best Friends and Hangman and Omega somewhere down the line.
And I do think Private Party will get to where they need to be. It's just, it was clear right now that Best Friends were better fit for this than Private Party were. I just realized that I didn't hook up my external camera after this, so they can't see me right now, being Jeremy and Phil. They don't know if I'm throwing gestures up at them at their opinions or anything like that. But I thought a pretty good opening match. Then we got into the Top Contender Casino ladder match. The gimmick behind this, I thought it was originally 90 seconds were supposed to be the intervals, but they were 2 minutes. I rather like the new rules where a new entrant comes out every couple minutes. Phil, what did you make of that? It's a new twist on a favorite match.
I liked it. At first, I thought it was going to be a little bit plotting because you had to wait every time. Yeah. But I thought everybody's entrance made sense, like especially Orange Cassidy's. And, the surprise entrance made a lot of sense too. So I liked it.
Yeah, that was the thing. There were specialized entrances for each person, so to speak. You started out with SCU, and they didn't want to wrestle each other, or they didn't want to fight each other. They wanted to wrestle each other. You had Kip Sabian come out. Jimmy Havoc helped him. I thought that was a good way to get around the fact that Kip Sabian was about to get the shit knocked out of him, because you had Jimmy Havoc out there. I almost called you Andrew, Jeremy, because every time I think of Jimmy Havoc, I think of Andrew almost beating him down. Andrew. Yeah, I thought it's the 1-year anniversary of Andrew, about ready to do this power bomb onto Jimmy Havoc through a ladder. But any thoughts on the suit that Jimmy Havoc was wearing, Jeremy?
He cleaned up nicely, which is good. So good for Jimmy Havoc. He got on the show. We'll move on from Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah, we will gladly. There's Darby Allen comes out, and the thing I like about Darby Allen's suicide dive, he always looks like he's trying to take somebody out. He also hit this insane skateboard stomp, or missed it rather, on Kazarian. He's at the top of a ladder, and he tries to stomp Kazarian through another ladder. Unbelievable spot. Phil, did you have a certain spot in this match that stood out to you? Like, damn, can't believe that that just happened.
The spot where I don't know if we're allowed to talk about the secret entrant yet. The super.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So Brian Cage is the secret entrant, and he's under all of this rubble, and
amazing.
I can't remember. I think it was Scorpio Sky that gets slammed on top of it while he's under it, and you can't see that he's still under it until the camera pans out. I thought that was great.
They buried Brian Cage, and I thought, Jeremy, that they did this so they could get away with him not winning this match, but he's alive and well, does a big series on Luchasaurus, powerbombs him on the ladder, hits a drill claw, and this is after we see Marco Stunt pop up. We see some other stuff like Cage running through everybody and an awesome F5 onto Darby. Like, there was some crazy stuff in this match that they did that I thought was going to set up Brian Cage just remaining buried underneath everything.
First off, if Darby Allen is not a playable character in the Tony Hawk remake that's coming out later this year, somebody screwed up, okay? We got to get Darby in the game somehow. I don't know how we can make that happen, but I'm throwing it out there right now so everybody can give us the credit for it when it does happen.
It needs to. Also, the Janela spot, that's the leader for me. That Death Valley Driver, is that the one that you mentioned, Phil?
Yes.
Oh my God. I saw that and I was like, Cage isn't still under there. And he was amazing. I did think this was a little bit overbooked at times. Jeremy, did it leave something to be desired for you? To me, I give it some leeway because it is the first one.
Yeah, it was a little overbooked with the run-ins, and there was too much like standing around. The Kip Sabian and Kazarian spot waiting for like Luchasaurus to that countdown, like they were just standing there, clearly just waiting for him to come in. And I don't know if they missed the mark on that, but there was a little too much standing around in some spots. But I mean, it was a gauntlet ladder match. I still maintain Scorpio and Kazarian should have just gotten the thing, shared it as SCU. Celebrated as one. That's what New Day would have done. Real best friends at New Day, unlike SCU, who are clearly fake friends.
Yeah, they would have just grabbed the ladder, climbed up there. One of them would have got it, and they would have settled it over rock, paper, scissors later on.
Yeah.
That's the man's way of doing it. That's a manly way of doing it. Also, a highlight of this match is Orange Cassidy walking out and saying, "How do I win this match?" And if we were to point out a low light, probably really the main thing, Kazarian and Luchasaurus messed up a little Hurricane Rana spot, but Cage picks up Darby Allen on the ladder, heaves him outside, and he gets the win. So Cage debuts, Phil. He's got a title shot. Who were you expecting to show up here ahead of this show?
I kind of was looking for a long shot and hoping that Pac showed up. But, nice. I mean, with the travel stuff, that was kind of a long shot. But it would have been nice.
It would have been, and I'm really liking the vignettes that they're rocking with him, too. I mean, it really helps out. Jeremy, any more on this ladder match, which, again, I prefer to the Battle Royal?
You can't stop the wrath of Brian Cage, Sean.
And Phil, I'm sure you've seen the Battle Royals in the past. How do you prefer this to those? I found that in the past it was a little bit hard for production to catch a lot of the stuff in the Battle Royal, but they missed a couple things here too.
Yeah, I thought this was way better than the Battle Royal. The Battle Royals are so clunky that they still don't explain them well. I don't know. I thought this was way better. Yeah,
this to me, they found something here, and I like that. I like it when you guys send us those beautiful super chats. Get your question or statement read on the air. Evan Wright says, I think Cage has been signed since he left Impact. Yep, around then. Anakin JMT said, now I know that I know he wasn't making a tooth joke, but that's how I took it. He said, Jeremy, I hope this pay-per-view made you smile after this week.
I don't think he was making a tooth
He's
joke,
not.
But thank you. It's been... I think for a lot of people, it's been a rough week. But some stuff personally close to me lost a good friend. So yeah, but it did make me smile, and you could see my toothless aggression as Sean made fun of me all night in the chat.
Yeah, we definitely wish the best to the family and friends of Larry Zonka, Shad Gaspard, Hana Kimura. It's been a rough week. Marco Dominguez says, quality wrestling should always bring us together like a family. It's a reminder that we're stronger when we build each other up, not tear each other down. Yeah, guys, if you all see that toxic behavior, don't be afraid to block it. It's the best thing I've done on Twitter over the last year is start blocking people. You don't owe anybody your presence on social media or anything like that. Stay Up and Keep It Up says, I know we've hammered on this show before, but Tony Khan should do his job because 6 men were waiting 7 seconds for Luchasaurus to powerbomb Kip. Well, I don't know that Tony Khan is a road agent, to be fair. That's probably a Billy Gunn, a Jerry Lynn, something like that. Phil, does that take you out when you see these guys waiting for the catch? Well, especially when half the times they don't catch anybody after they waited, but still.
There was a few times tonight where I was looking at it like, okay, they're clearly building a spot. And it was taking too long. Like that happened in a women's match, and I was just kind of like, okay. So sometimes it does, but I didn't think it was too bad in this match. There was a few spots that were off, but it did happen a few times throughout the night.
Eloquent says, I think this is the best COVID-19 era show to date. I think there have been a couple good ones. I think WWE's Money in the Bank was a very good paced show. I like that. I was hoping this show would be paced more like that, and it went a little bit long to me. Rob Wilkins says, Jeremy, how was your pizza? Phil, welcome. I give the show an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was an enjoyable show. I just thought it could be a little shorter. Jeremy, how was your pizza? Mine made me shit my brains out.
My pizza was very good. Did you get the barbecue chicken and bacon, Sean?
Yeah, I got that. Of course I did.
Phil, what'd you have for dinner? Did you have pizza?
I did not. I just had leftovers in the refrigerator.
Man, see, he went the wise route. Route. The Dallas fan 1982 says, Sean, will you do a video of what you thought of Owen Hart's death and the Dark Side of the Ring episode? Just watch Listen Ya Boy. Jimmy and I talked about it for like 15, 20 minutes. That has all my thoughts on that right there. Matthew Garrett says, if you had a golden ticket and could jump into any wrestling event ever, live in the crowd, what event would it be and why? Ooh. Well, honestly, the most fun I have ever had at a wrestling show or virtually any AEW shows I've been to. The demographic is younger. It's more diverse. It's a lot more fun to me. Phil, you have one that sticks out to you?
I'm sorry. What the question was?
If you could travel to any show, you could put yourself in any show in the crowd. I assume in the past, what would it be?
Probably Rebellion, because I didn't get to go to Rebellion. I did go to like the other 2 events in Chicago. I went to All In. So probably Rebellion.
How about you, Jeremy?
I would want to be part of the 193,000 people at WrestleMania 3 when Hulk Hogan picked up Andre the Giant over his head and slammed him.
I thought you were going to say the North Korea show, Collision in Korea, because they had like so many people there. Rob Wilkins says, following me on Twitter, definitely a number 2 best choice. Anakin JMT says, where do you guys rank this show with the other AEW pay-per-views? Well, it's hard for me to do that because I was at several of them, and when you're there, I'm telling you, it's unlike any live experience. So, Jeremy, where would you rank this one?
Yeah, I was at Revolution. So, no, sorry, I was at Full Gear. So that one is probably tops for me. I don't know. The crowd makes AEW events so much, and this one with the lack of crowd, I do think hurt it overall.
How about you, Phil?
I think I would rank it below most of the ones last year, other than probably Full Gear. It's better than Full Gear. But I definitely think Double or Nothing last year was much better. I think All Out was better.
Yeah, and the presence of that crowd, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up this round of Super Chats, Tim Traver says, been having a rough week. Want to say thank you for being here when I'm feeling down. I love the Fightful family. Hey, we appreciate you, Tim. We're thinking of you. We're thinking of our buddy Throwback, who is having an important weekend as well. But our show rolls on, and damn does it. MJF and Jungle Boy. I did not know they were going to bring it like this. This was real good. Jungle Boy slaps MJF when he's in a headstand. MJF has abandoned the scarf. Your thoughts, Jeremy?
The scarf was chafing his neck, and you must remember, Sean, he suffered a serious nick on his neck when he was shaving, and the scarf makes that injury worse. So that is why the scarf has been abandoned. I've been told he will bring it back at some point. This is a complete power rankings take here. Please don't take me too serious on this and yell at me.
See, I don't know if any of that is actually factual. But I like it. I like that they're advancing. They're integrating they're still keeping it in his gear and stuff, but I like that. My only qualm with this is I don't like the let's let each other hit each other spot. I don't like that because I can just imagine if somebody did that in MMA. Like that'd be. Could you imagine somebody doing that to Francis Ngannou? I don't think so.
Max Holloway wants that done to him all the time, though.
Yeah, fair, but it's usually in the last 10 seconds of the round that we can do that. Anakin JMT says, love how MJF first cheated, then didn't to win. I like that too, and we're going to get to that. Jungle Boy has an amazing comeback on him. Like, he's got this fiery comeback where he just strikes, throws all this stuff. MJF has really, like, just expanded his offensive arsenal. He does this great head and arm suplex, a heaving backbreaker. There was a pump handle driver that was really good out of the crossface when MJF bit Jungle Boy's hand. The reverse Rana on the apron was really good. There was an avalanche sit-down powerbomb from Jungle Boy. And then there was a series of pinfalls that resulted in MJF just winning clean. Did it surprise you, Phil, to see MJF win clean?
No, I pretty much figured MJF is going to win. I mean, He's got the better record. He's definitely the hotter guy right now. I thought they did a good job of making Jungle Boy look good throughout. But, I mean, yeah, you got to get a win at MJF.
And the thing is, like, I like that they're just portraying that MJF is real good. I hate to draw a WWE comparison, but so often in WWE, he would have to cheat to win against anybody. And that shouldn't necessarily be the case. Some assholes are just really good at what they do. MJF is one of those. It seems like he's on a collision course for a world title shot eventually. I don't know. Maybe a TNT title shot. I don't know. But, Jeremy, your thoughts on this one? Because early on, I was like, damn, this might end up being match of the night.
It was really good. I mean, they had a great match on Dynamite earlier this year, so it wasn't too surprising that it was this good. I mean, MJF, for everything you can say about him, he's a very good professional wrestler.
Yeah, piece of shit, asshole, jerk, pretentious douchebag. You can say all those things.
Bad with directions. But he's a very good professional wrestler, and I thought this match was great. I mean, these guys are 24 and 22. They're going to be headlining Double or Nothing 10 years from now and doing callbacks to this match, and we're all going to be freaking out over it. So I thought this was a great match.
Amazing. If you're Tony Khan and AEW, you got to be ecstatic at how these two guys performed in this match. Evan Wright says, Jungle Boy proved he was a serious player, and MJF proved he could do it in the ring. Guy is scary good. Yeah, he is, because the rap on him was, he can't do it in the ring. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can, and it's really good. And he's the type of heel that you enjoy the work that you see, but then when you go to the arena, you want to boo him. And that's, to me, that's awesome. And it's something I talked to Gregory Iron about. Like, he is a wrestler with cerebral palsy. It's tough for him to get heat. And when he's playing a heel and people appreciate his work, he prefers that people show up there and boo him. If you appreciate the heel work, show up there and boo the people. Help get them over in that regard. He's one of those people that's just so easy to hate, both legitimately and in the aspect of the storyline. Where do you think he goes from here, Phil?
MJF?
Yeah.
Well, he has the best record now, right under Mox, right? So he's got to be next up for a title shot. Yeah,
I mean, Cage is there too, but if you're MJF, you'd have to be going for it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this title belt. So, I got to look at this title belt before the pictures emerged, and I showed it to Jeremy. And I think the term that I said that I hoped it was a Scottie Pippen 1994 playoffs decoy. I was hoping it wasn't the real one. I was hoping that somebody was like, let's leak this to the sheets. Try to find where some leaks are so they could premiere the real thing. It is unfinished, as it turns out. And if you guys subscribe to Fightful Select, please do that. We have tons of exclusives there. Not going to give you the long pitch, but tons of podcasts, exclusive news. I revealed tonight, it was, in fact, not reactionary. They didn't see the reaction online and say, we got to add to this belt. There are only a few places nationwide where you can get plating done, and they were not able to get that done during the pandemic. So there are elements of this to be added on. Phil, what were your immediate reactions when you saw this title and you realized this was the actual thing before they said, we got work to do?
Well, I saw it before it came out, and I was in a live chat with somebody else, and so I was kind of joking about it before they even came out, and I said, you got to look at this belt. So when the belt comes out, he's like, no, that's really the belt. So it kind of looks like the 24/7 championship to me was just like a red strap.
It was rough. Jeremy, thoughts, feelings, emotions?
It looked like the old Raw, or maybe the current Raw tag team titles. I don't know what the tag team titles look anymore, but just like the giant like silver dollar tag team titles, like that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it looks like somebody took the 24/7 into the custom title on 2K or something.
Exactly.
Psych. I don't think 2K even has that in their game anymore. Well, they don't have any game anymore now, but Anakin JMT actually says, glad that isn't the final title because it looks a lot worse than the 24/7 title. I agree. Let's wrap up some super chats that were there before we get into this match. DGMC says, can't wait for babyface MJF in the distant future going up against heel EVP Cody and possibly the Elite too. I can see MJF doing a pseudo babyface run eventually when they introduce a new guy and give him a few months of build as even more vile than MJF. Because like Brodie Lee isn't more vile than MJF. It would have to be somebody that's such a piece of shit that you can only counter him with another piece of shit. Like that's the only thing that could possibly stop him. It's like Lex Luthor fighting Thanos or something like that. I don't know if that's an accurate thing to say. I don't read comic books, but there you go. JJ Lee says, I respect that AEW isn't afraid to book a guy to just lose a match no matter how much they've been built up. That's sports, winners and losers. I agree with this, Jeremy. I've been saying this a long time. Randy Savage always said, win him in the ring, lose him in the ring. If I'm over enough, I'm over enough.
Yeah, I think that's the theory behind Jungle Boy as well. I mean, Jungle Boy doesn't have a great record, and yet people are still fine. You know, he's still getting big matches. People still like him because he has competitive matches. He loses clean. Okay, he's 22 years old. Like it's okay, and that's why I was completely fine with MJF just winning clean. Establish that he is better than everybody. Establish that he doesn't need to cheat to win these matches. I think it's a good thing.
Phil, how do you feel about that? I mean, we see a lot of people that just take straight up clean losses.
I think it works. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna push a guy and you're gonna put him in a big match, you can't be afraid to have him lose. Otherwise, don't put him in a match.
Yep, I agree. That's another thing Jim Ross says on his podcast all the time. If you can't get out of the match without doing that kind of booking, then why'd you book the match? Why'd you book the match? DGMC, I'm glad that he mentioned this because that's where I was going. He says, with Meme Machine Tyson looking jacked and wrestling insanity in Jaguar Stadium, how much mainstream pub do you think tonight's event will get? Well, unfortunately, Mike Tyson got caught yawning too, so that one might get some unfortunate publicity. But he looked jacked. He looked awesome. His reaction to Lance Archer, they could not have asked for a better reaction to Lance Archer beating that ass. Jeremy, how do you feel that Mike Tyson's appearance here went? Because it seemed like he was excited to get out of there, too.
I thought Tyson was great. I don't know how much mainstream publicity. I mean, maybe because there's nothing else going on, it'll get a little bit more. But, like, it didn't hit anybody. And that's the big selling point of Mike Tyson being there. You showed the highlight of him punching somebody. The main takeaway from Mike Tyson was he got caught yawning. I don't know. Like, that's not the publicity you want. So I don't know if it's going to get as much as, and maybe they don't think it was going to get anything, and that's why they didn't book him to hit anybody. But
if they would have asked Dan Lambert to get hit, he would have done it. He would have hopped that guardrail and done it. Dan Lambert is a gamer.
I don't know why they didn't have him punch somebody. Like, after he takes his shirt off, punch Jake Roberts. I don't know if Jake Roberts can take a bump, but punch somebody. You got Mike Tyson.
He would try. I think Jake Roberts would try for that. I think he would be cool to do that. Phil, your thoughts on Mike Tyson? He presented Cody the belt after this match and then hit the bricks.
I thought the best cut back to Mike was when they were kicking both Arn and Jake out, and he's just like, that was the best cut back to him in the entire thing.
So Lance Archer hits a blackout immediately. Cody counters the EBD claw and gets pounced in midair. I love that he uses the pounce, because Monty Brown is a buddy of his from what I remember. This guy is 43 years old and almost 7 feet tall doing a rope walk moonsault. That is batshit crazy. That is so nuts. I loved Cody's comeback. He hit like a springboard cutter, then a crossroads, then a curtain call, then a stinger splash. And that son of a bitch hitting a stinger splash tonight, because that's all I've heard all week is, Sting's going to show up, right? Sting's been a free agent for a while, guys. Like, this isn't a new thing. Somebody just happened to find out about it, from what I understand. So, like, Sting isn't imminently joining AEW and set to face Moxley. Like, it's not happening like that. But I love that Arn Anderson cheated in this match, too. Because why not? And Arn Anderson is a cheating bastard. He always has been. So why not keep him in that mode, so to speak? Jake and Arn get kicked out. Jake comes back with a snake, but Mike cuts him off. And Cody wins with 2 straight crossroads. Phil, personally, I thought this was the right move, because you put the title on a guy who is one of the most over guys, and he can't win the world title. So it makes you wonder, would he be world champion if he weren't TNT champion? And I think that's a good way to establish it as a top title. I want to know what you thought about the decision to put the title on Cody and the match.
I thought it was a good match. I think once Cody beat Darby, you kind of had to put the title on him, because if you were going to take him out of the tournament, that was the time to take him out. But you had already built up the feud with him and Lance, so you had to have him beat Darby. So once you go to the finals, you're not going to put the title on Lance as the first champion. You're not going to get as much pub off of Lance.
Jeremy, your thoughts on the TNT Championship, which ahead of this show I thought should have main evented. After knowing what we know now, shouldn't have. Not to say it was a bad match. I enjoyed the match.
I thought it was a little long, could have been edited down slightly. I love Cody. His act just works so much better in front of a live crowd, because he always has the crowd in the palm of his hand, and without that live crowd, like his comeback and even some of the heat spots just weren't as good as they typically have been from him in AEW. I kind of thought this was like his worst AEW match, and I'm not saying that like it was a bad match or anything, but his work in AEW has been so strong that even like a kind of a mid-level match stands out as being the worst. I thought it was the right decision to put the title on him, because he can't challenge for the world title, so give him the secondary belt, let him have that. I mean, he's going to be a fine champion. But his stuff just works better in front of a crowd. You can say that about a lot of people, but especially Cody.
Evan Wright didn't send a super chat, but his comment was really good, so I wanted to read it. He said, Cody hitting a DDT, looking Jake right in his eyes, followed by Archer doing a spine buster and looking at Arn. Great spot. I love that. Yep. That was such a cerebral spot. Rob Wilkins says, the belt looks so bad, I thought it was one of my Photoshop edits. I loved Archer doing the spine buster and looking at Anderson. Hashtag Holbert fears Lambert. To imply that Holbert fears Lambert is to imply that Holbert cares enough to emote fear. And I am not convinced that such a thing is realistic, honestly.
That's actually true.
Yeah. Dante sends a monster super chat. Big thank you, Dante. He says, great show, barring the Dustin Spears match. Oh boy, I can't wait to talk about that. He says, amazing wrestling all around, funny lines, and a few botches. Poor Jimmy. But overall, a great show to cap off a shitty week for wrestling. R.I.P. Shad and Hannah. Be nice to one another, you nerds. That is an inherent contradiction, Dante, but thank you nonetheless. I appreciate that, and yeah, I had a good time tonight, and we needed this night. I needed Britt Baker in this match with Chris Statlander because Penelope is not there yet. She's getting there. She's improved a lot, but is not there yet. To me, the action here wasn't smooth, but it wasn't gritty enough to have me like too into it. The 5 cartwheels and the boop when somebody's down immediately, that takes me out of it, and that's rough. But man, I look at Chris Statlander, and I'm like, Jesus, she is way better than she even should be at this stage of her career, and she's going to keep learning and getting better, and Penelope Ford's going to keep learning and getting better. But I think Statlander, she's going to find something that makes her click, and she's going to be a monster babyface in that division. Phil, I mean, you do an insane amount of women's wrestling coverage at Bell to Bells. What'd you think of Chris Statlander defeating Penelope Ford?
I actually thought both the women's matches were 2 of the better matches on the card, and I think it's because they were so much simpler than the other matches. They weren't so spot heavy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I thought Penelope was a good stand-in for what it was. I mean, yeah, she still looks pretty green, but I mean, I think she made the best out of a bad situation. Of course, Statlander had to go over. But I thought it was a solid match.
Jeremy, your thoughts on this one?
They kept it short, which was certainly the right call because Penelope was such a late replacement. Chris Statlander is really good. They definitely have something with her. The gimmick is not going to connect with everybody. I think it worked. Like, you've got the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega doing the stuff they did tonight. So I think Chris Statlander, there's certainly a place for her in this company, especially with how good she is in the ring. I'm with you on Penelope. Not quite there, but she's getting really good reps right now working these empty arena shows. So I think that'll be good for her down the time. I do miss Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, though.
Yeah, they showed her doctor, and if anybody can make this injury work, it's going to be Britt Baker.
People are like convinced this is a work right now because they did the Kip Sabian thing. The Matt Jackson worked. MJF even did like a heel. He faked the knee injury during the match. Like, people like, oh, and Doc Samson, when he was like, the patient is the bigger problem right now. And people are like, oh man, this is a work. I don't think this is a work.
I don't think it's a work. I mean, maybe she lucked out, but that seemed rough. As for Chris's gimmick, I'm fine with the gimmick. To me, it comes down to psychology. And when you have your opponent down on the mat, doing 5 cartwheels in a row is always going to bug me. That's just always going to bug me. She'll pick up on that. She'll get better. She's got nowhere to go but up, and that's saying something. She's already really good. Unfortunately, this show didn't enjoy the same thing. Sean Spears calls out Dustin, who isn't coming. But then he does because Brandy appears and distracts him. Dustin shows up, beats up Sean Spears, and Sean Spears has Tully Blanchard's face on the dick hole of his underpants. A curtain call and a pin. Man, well, let me tell you, we're in tough times right now. A lot of isolation, a lot of quarantining. But if you're looking to get somebody's face on the dick hole of your underpants, BlueChew.com can help. BlueChew.com brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. So you know they work, but they work way faster, way better, and they're way cheaper than those other guys. That's because it's a chewable, can get into your system a lot faster, and it's prescribed online by approved physicians from Blue Chew that they work with to get this stuff to you faster. You do not need to be going to the doctor for your male enhancement right now. Stay away from the doctor unless you're sick, unless you're hurting. Instead, make somebody else feel like they need to go to the doctor because they've been walking like a dumbass all week after you get done with them, after you use BlueChew.com. It's prescribed online. It ships straight to your door. You can avoid the pharmacy. Because, I mean, here's the thing. By the time you get to the pharmacy, when all this is cleared up, the pharmacist is going to go, heard about that dick? And you're going to say, yeah, BlueChew.com, code FIGHTFUL. Bet you didn't hear it from my mailman, though. He doesn't know. It doesn't say anything on the package. It ships discreetly. Use that code FIGHTFUL. You get your first shipment free. Please tweet Blue Chew on Twitter and tell them that you heard about the concepts of erections and improved sexual performance from Sean Ross Sapp on the Fightful Podcast. I appreciate you.
The concept of erection.
Yeah. The basic concept of erections from me. Anakin JMT sent the super chat and says, Sean, please use that transition on Denise Monday. I don't use the same one twice. I'm like Michael Jordan. He wore a different pair of shoes every single game. Like, it's just, that's the way it works. Phil, what did you think about Dustin Rhodes and Shawn Spears? I had a lot of people saying, why do you even go to AEW? Give me a break. He was not on TV in WWE. This is even better than that. I'm fine with it, but I want to know what you think, Phil.
This is probably the most WWE schlocky slapstick match I've seen in AEW so far. Like it
was bad. It was bad.
It was bad. I kept trying to get into it. Like some parts of it was funny, like his comedic turnaround at the beginning when he acted like he didn't know Dustin was there, but it just kept rolling downhill from there. It just kept getting worse. It at one point turned into like a bra and panties match because he got like stripped out the underwear. I didn't know what was going on.
It was rough. Jeremy, any brief thoughts on this shit show?
Tully Blanchard. Those are my brief thoughts.
Oh my God. There were a few people that thought that Shawn Spears let his old horseman out of the stable there. Instead, they thought that he had a dong slip, and fortunately he didn't. But fortunately, the match that followed this up was Hikaru Shida defeating Nyla Rose. They did pay homage to Hana Kimura. I was shocked at this title change, but this was good. That no DQ stipulation really worked here. Nyla, boy, is she improving. I mean, that's the thing. You had a lot of women on this show who were not TV ready because, quite frankly, they hadn't worked TV before. Now they've been working TV for about 8 or 9 months, and they're getting good. Nyla threw Shida through a poker table at ringside. Did a great power slam. There was a spot into the poker chips. There was the kendo stick, a brain buster onto it. And let me tell you, I had to go get a cold compress for my forehead when Shida does an avalanche falcon arrow. Ooh boy, that's a good one. There was a power bomb into a cornered table, a Death Valley driver, but then Shida wins it. Phil, I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on this. Hikaru Shida getting the big victory.
I thought this was really good. I think this is going to be seen as one of AEW's best pay-per-view matches for women so far. I think it was definitely Nyla's best match. Really surprised Nyla lost. I thought she was going to retain. But I kind of think it's the right call because Shida's really hot right now. She had a really good run to start the year. So I thought it was really good.
Jeremy, anything to follow up with?
I love this match. I like you, was pretty surprised that Shida won. I thought Nyla was going to have a lengthy reign where she kind of ran through some people. And with Baker getting injured, it seemed like she's the next logical title contender. So maybe you hold off on the Shida-Baker match. With Baker being out, give Nyla a little bit of an extended run. Hopefully Britt Baker is back soon. They can do this program. But as far as the match goes, I thought it was great. Certainly one of the better women's matches, I think, in all of AEW. This and the Shida Baker match, probably the best two women's matches in AEW history. And that's probably slighting Riho a little bit, who had some really good matches as well. But yeah, Shida, the no DQ stipulation worked. It allowed them to do different things, maybe cover up a little bit of weaknesses, especially when it comes to Nyla, because she is still kind of new to all of that, but she's certainly just a powerhouse who can toss people around. Sheeta bumped really well for her. You throw in some weapons. This all clicked for me.
Evan Wright sends a super chat. Nyla to the camera. Always bet on black before the table.
Yes.
What a great line. Like, I heard somebody say she's like an 80s action movie star. Was that you, Jeremy?
No, that wasn't me, but I'll take credit for it.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll say that. Fantastic line. Anakin JMT says, thoughts on commentary calling Sheeta the hottest wrestler in the industry when Becky is in it? Well, Becky's not in it for the next year or so I don't have a problem with that. Anakin says, Nyla and Sheeta is why women's wrestling is my favorite type of wrestling. When a women's division has matches like that, the whole company shines. Yeah, Phil, I thought this was a world championship caliber match. Now I'm ready to see them get more women involved. I know that there's some that they can't. Like Shayna is stuck overseas, like this, but they need to vary it up a little bit. We saw Big Swole there today. I want to see her involved more. I gotta see her involved more, especially after she almost stole the show from the damn crowd tonight. She was awesome.
She did.
Any thoughts on where the division goes from here, Phil?
Well, because I thought that Nyla was going to retain, I'm not sure who the next challenger is going to be. I think Big Swole stands out personality-wise, but as far as like another heel, there's no one to really build on. Like, I mean, it's pretty much just Penelope and Nyla at the moment.
Yeah. I think they really got to step up and build some more people effectively. There were a lot of early hires that are questionable, like the Leva hire. She's been relegated to doing what she's doing. Allie has been made a manager. Melanie, the Nightmare Collective, fell apart. Awesome Kong, I get why they hired her. She is a great person to have. She's going to be a great person to agent matches for AEW, teaching people how to act straight up, and a good person to be around because she's just a wonderful person. But anybody that saw her Impact run knew that her last Impact run knew that those days were gone. So I'm not surprised that she couldn't get cleared to go in the ring. But there were a lot of hires early on that they couldn't really use to the level of which they wanted to put on their women's action. And they've made the Big Swole signing. I love that. The Statlander signing. I love that. They brought in some really good ones, and I think they're going to keep doing that. But
they should sign Deonna Purrazzo. She's TV ready. She can play face
definitely.
or heel. Bring her in.
Yep, Deonna Purrazzo. I think they should sign Ivelisse too. If Ivelisse has some problems, there's always been those talks that Ivelisse has had problems with certain people. Tell everybody to get the fuck over it. Do your jobs. Do the business. There are people that will talk to me in the wrestling world, and they'll say, well, I don't know if I can get into AEW because this person doesn't like me, this person doesn't like me. And I'm like, well, if Tony Khan likes you, that's what matters. He's the boss. And all due respect to Cody, Young Bucks, and Omega, if Tony Khan wants somebody on that roster, they're going to be on that roster. And people are going to work with them. I mean, that's part of the thing that Tony put forth in the scrum earlier this year was that he went from being the final say to being the loudest voice in the room. Zach Barber says, has someone found Nyla's head after that home run Sheeta hit? Woo, baseball is back. I love it. Oh, that was great. Also great, Brodie Lee took me from not caring about him at all based on the build of this story to having just some awesome work. Jon Moxley beat him. But Jeremy, how much did this do for you for how Brodie Lee is perceived?
Plenty, because everything leading up to this, I could not get into at all. I don't like the Vince McMahon light stuff, whatever it is. They can say, it's not an exact copy and whatnot, but
it's that little bitty ting. It's not the same. Yeah. It's the Vanilla Ice rule.
That stuff did nothing for me. Even his go home promo this past week, I wasn't a fan of that either. But this match ruled. Moxley and Lee really played to each other's strengths, especially the finish that they did really protected Brodie Lee. So this made me a lot more invested in the Brodie Lee character than anything he's done on Dynamite up to this point.
There was a real happy accident right out of the gate where Moxley does the suicide dive, and there were like 9 of them on this show. They need to work on that with agenting. But the barricade fell over, which I don't think was supposed to happen, and it made it look better. Moxley has really expanded his arsenal too. Gotch pile driver is good. The back body drop off the stairs through a table was good. Then Brodie's throwing around suplexes, a superplex in the ring, a half Nelson suplex on the set outside the ring. Then he pulls down the set and slams Moxley on it. And, like, I know it's just plywood, but, God, it sounded like it hurt. And it was great. They paradigm shifted through the walkway, and Brodie Lee is busted up. Now, if you all are going to blame anybody for kicking out of Moxley's finish, blame him. He said in my interview, he told John Moxley to no-sell it, and he just likes to vary it up and do ones that will work. But Brodie kicks out of a paradigm shift at 1, and then Moxley just unleashes like this MMA combo. And he had done a lot of training for the Cage Fighter movie, and you see the MMA elements play out, and I think they're pretty good. But he hits another paradigm shift, gets a 2, and chokes out Brodie Lee. Phil, your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on Brodie Lee as a contender? Did he improve in your eyes based on the build of this match? How did you feel?
I mean, I think we all knew Brodie could wrestle. Like, yeah. I wasn't concerned that he was going to come in and not have a good match. I think the concern when he came over was what would he do as a character, because we hadn't heard him talk in a long time and we hadn't seen him do any of the story element stuff. And I thought the story stuff was good. I thought he was working good as a character coming into this match. I thought he looked really good in this match. I didn't care for him kicking out of the paradigm shift, but only because you had him go through a wood plank before that, and then you do a finisher after that. And he didn't just kick out, he kicked out at 1. So it almost felt like what WWE's doing with The Fiend, where it's like, okay, well, how many...
It's like, why does he even use the move?
Right. But other than that, I thought it was a good match. I thought the women's title match was better than this match, honestly. But I did think this was a good title defense for Moxley. I think it's probably his best so far. Definitely better than the Hager match.
Yeah.
How dare you? The Jake Hager match was the greatest empty arena match of all time, is what I was told.
Oh my God. They got to go a different direction than former WWE talent that left with the next contender, right, Jeremy?
Brian Cage against Moxley at Fyter Fest was announced during the scrum.
Okay, awesome. The scrum that I'm not on right now. Follow at Fightful Wrestle, though. They do have the information. Rex Joseph Calmerin says, I don't care what people say, Brodie Lee is a main eventer. I think he's a main event quality performer. I just got to see it as far as storyline goes. B-Mags19 says, does Brodie ascend if he becomes more gangster? I think he can. I think that when we go from seeing him as Luke Harper for so long, and it's such a categorical shift, like I get it. They want to erase that, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Rob Wilkins says, any WWE talent backstage tonight? I don't know. I haven't heard, but I'll find out. I'll look for it. Oh, here we go. The Stadium Stampede. Wow. So I'm going to read through some of the super chats here. Anakin JMT says, AEW must have seen corporate Money in the Bank and said, we can do better. Stadium Stampede was awesome. I thought I don't know if it was inspired by Money in the Bank, but I thought that it was a great twist. I am loving cinematic wrestling right now. It is fun, and it gives us a reason to laugh. You know, going into almost all these, you're going to laugh a little bit. Anakin JMT says, the way Ortiz shook after Matt rang the bell made him look like the Venom symbiote was trying to leave him. He shook for like 2 minutes. It was so corny. I loved it. Fernando Zepeda said, a freaking horse. Yeah, freaking horse. Rex Joseph Calmerin says, the whole pool of reincarnation sequence, a lot of people didn't like that. I thought it was fun because I was like, they're drowning him? This is tone deaf. Then they made it the Lake of Reincarnation, and I was all right. Stay up and keep it up. Thanks to Blue Chew says, let's take it to the replay tent. I died inside. Anakin JMT says, Jeremy, the Hager-Moxley match will only be the greatest wrestling match until Backlash.
That's true. That's very true.
Oh, boy, here we go. The Inner Circle's in football gear. There are cheerleaders everywhere. Hangman shows up on a horse. At this point, Phil, how are you feeling about this match? Because it's clear it's going to have some comedic aspect to it.
Well, unlike the Statlander match earlier, at least they didn't come out touching all the cheerleaders, because I thought that was very strange. The Statlander was touching everybody and then put that same finger in Penelope's mouth, and I just was sitting there cringing like, okay, COVID, wash your hands.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about that, but we start to see spots right out of the gate. Matt's ribs are heavily taped. Sammy misses a shooting star. Nick gets a tope con hilo. Ortiz with an Asai moonsault. Matt Jackson moonsaults off the goalposts. Unbelievable. Omega gets slammed through a table on the field. And then we go up to the Lake of Reincarnation. And I was like, what the hell is going on? They've got Matt Hardy up in the pool, they being Ortiz and Santana. And he turns into a different version of Matt Hardy each time. Jeremy, did this hit with you? Did you like it? Was it too corny, too cheesy?
First off, about Santana and Ortiz, if you didn't know, Sean, if they weren't proud, they would not be powerful.
I hate that name.
I thought it was good. I like the Hardy callback stuff and everything. It's wacky, it's gimmicky. Obviously, that's what Matt Hardy is going to do here in AEW. That's clearly his role, and in this kind of setting, it really works. I don't know what this means moving forward, but for this, it works. So yeah, I like that. Version 1, Matt Hardy made an appearance. I thought it was good. I like the entrances. I like that there was a ring in the middle of this football field, because it gave the impression of, it's a stadium stampede, but we're gonna hold it all in the ring. It'll be fine. And then of course, no, they're gonna brawl all around the stadium, because why wouldn't you? Hangman Page on a horse ruled. I was kind of shocked he didn't do that on Dynamite, even though the 100-yard dash was great. And then people were like, they're probably saving it for the pay-per-view. I was like, well, hopefully, because if you have a stadium, why would you bring a horse into this stadium? So I thought that was awesome. Hangman was just great throughout this entire thing. He trying to chase Sammy. He's like, screw it, I'm just gonna go drink. And perfect Hangman Page.
Fun fact, Proud and Powerful was going to be the name of Jeremy and Joe's podcast, but they went with Weak and Ashamed instead.
Joe, every time we talk about Proud and Powerful, he says if they weren't proud, they wouldn't be powerful. So that was my inside nod to Joe right there.
So the match goes on. Hangman's drinking at the bar. Hager attacks him. There was a spot where Hager Uranagi's Page onto the pool. God, that looked like it hurt. Page gets thrown all across the bar, and Hager swagger bombs Page through a table. Moxley told me that at one point during his match with Hager, because he was insistent on not calling anything until they got in the ring, and Hager was like, swagger bomb, and then shoot gut wrench power bombed him, and Moxley was like, nothing I could do about it. J.K. Schwal says, if you could hit a finisher on one mascot, which mascot are you picking? Oh, is it the Philadelphia Flyers? Got to be that
gritty.
Yeah, got to be that creepy ass one. How about you, Phil?
Gotta be Green Bay's mascot, because I'm from Chicago, and we don't mess with cheese up here.
Okay. How about you, Jeremy?
Steph Curry.
You know what? I respect it. I respect it.
What?
He hasn't played much this year. He's been a mascot for pretty much the whole year. I don't like that guy.
I thought Draymond was their mascot.
Oh, that's a better one, actually.
Yes.
That's much better. Yeah. I'm a Thunder fan, a bitter one at that, but yeah.
Evan Wright says, them saying the refs could communicate was nice. I loved that. They made sense of the situation. I dug that. Also, a spot that I dug, Omega helped out Page, and then Page poured him some milk. That was hilarious. Matt Jackson does the suplexes on Sammy Guevara, the Northern Lights, and in my mind, I'm like, they got to go across the field. And they did cleverly edit it to where he went all the way across the field. And then when he hits the end zone, he celebrates and spikes Sammy into the end zone. And the hilarity The hilarity of Rick Knox calling a penalty in a no DQ match when he doesn't call DQs in matches that actually have them made it worth the super kick. This was good. We saw a lot of cutesy aspects in this match, Phil. What did you like those? Did you not like those? How'd you feel?
I liked the match overall. I think it was supposed to be ridiculous. I mean, all of the stuff with Matt Hardy was great. I thought Matt stole every aspect that he was in. I thought he was one of the better performers in the match. Other than that, it was absolutely Hangman was the star of this match as well. The backflip off of the bar and the buckshot off of the bar were amazing. That whole sequence in the bar was just great. Kenny looked great. The finish looked amazing off of the whatever that
one-winged angel off the balcony. Yes. Unbelievable. This happens after Neo 1, which is the new Vanguard, distracts Sammy. Sammy had crawled into sprinklers and he had to run from Omega and Hardy in a golf cart. I love that he beat them this time. That's got to be a recurring thing in the future. But Nick Jackson had ran the stairs. Running the stairs was pointless, but he got through the table on Jericho. Hangman casually running the line marker over Jericho may have made me laugh more than anything because it was so casual. And Jericho went to the replay tent with Aubrey and called her a shitty referee. I like this. The Elite
That's
win.
the best feud in AEW, Aubrey and Jericho.
It's amazing. Some of these feuds, like Bayley and Michael Cole, has been a great one too. Some really, really good stuff here. The Elite win. They couldn't do Blood and Guts, but dare I say, this was better than what Blood and Guts was going to be. Jeremy, how do you feel? We're going to put a bow on this show.
It was better than Blood and Guts in front of no audience because that certainly needed an audience to work. This was great. Like it was wacky. It was over the top. It was gimmicky, but it was exactly, I think, what we all needed at the end of this week. And I appreciated every moment. Look, the football stuff, it clicks with me as a football fan. I'm sure anybody who is a football fan, the over celebration, the challenge flag, the replay and everything. I thought all that was great, but I loved every second of this.
Phil, you want to wrap it up? How did you feel about this main event? Anything that maybe got left out?
I thought it was great. I mean, I don't know how much longer the cinematic boom is going to work. I mean, but this was great. I mean, I also felt like it was its own thing. I didn't feel like they were trying to copy anything anybody else has done with cinematic matches. I felt like this was definitely an Elite thing. This definitely was all of their in-house gags, all of their running jokes. I think they are the only ones that would have been able to get like the chain Northern Lights off, which was hilarious.
I thought that it fit really well. They had the right ingredients for this match. And although I think they could have pulled off Blood and Guts just fine, I thought these ingredients to add a comedic factor to this match really, really worked. And that's a good thing. If you can have people engaged in a match like this that is violent but funny and entertaining, that says very good things about the cast that you have. Joseph Farley says, Sean teaching me more sex ed than Kentucky public schools. Hey, I learned from Kentucky public schools, my friends. He also says, Gritty is a god amongst mascots. How can you say that? The Reds have like 9 mascots. So, I mean, they would whoop that ass. Anakin JMT says, Vince McMahon Googling tweeted out, I thought I canceled the XFL during the Stampede match. Oh, well, guys, we are here every Wednesday for the Wednesday Night War podcast. Earlier that day, we had the list and your boy. We're back at our 2 p.m. start time this week. I'll tell you why when I'm allowed to. But we got reviews for Raw, for SmackDown, all kinds of stuff, plus stuff on Fightful Select. Please go there and support us. The exclusives that we get, it's largely in part to the support that we get from Fightful Select. But Jeremy, tell the people where they can check out The Distraction and see you do like a slight amount of work, I guess, at Fightful.
Yeah, sometimes I write things, just sometimes. I'm on Fightful just about every day. The Distraction, with Joseph Holbert. You can follow Joe on Twitter at JoeHolbert5. Tuesdays, we review movies with wrestlers. We're reviewing Suburban Commando this week. Thursdays, we chat about wrestling if you're into that stuff. Saturdays, we play TEW, and Joe lowers the stock price while I try to raise it with WWE, and that's a great time. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Lambert 88.
I wish you could have seen me, because when you said, follow Joe Holbert, I did the Bret Hart when time was up at WrestleMania 12 when they're like, overtime, and he goes, why?
Look, I have to plug my co-host and my best friend. I got to give him the 6-minute rub, okay?
Okay.
If we weren't proud, we would not be proud.
Well, you know what? Maybe if he took some Blue Chew, it would be a lot longer than a 6-minute rub. Phil, you do a lot of great stuff. Let the people know where they can check you out.
You can find my writing at Daily DDT. You can also find my writing on women's wrestling at belltobells.com.
Highly encourage that, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out Phil's stuff. Follow him on social media. You can also follow Jeremy. I guess he motivated me to order pizza tonight, and I will not forgive him. I put in those miles on the Schwinn only to turn around and eat Domino's. The hell. Drew Nicholas says, cinematic matches need to stay even when we get back to normal. WWE and AEW should do once a year or two. I agree. Keep these things, and I hope you all keep checking us out. Thank you all. We are out.